Okay guys, so here's how we tie the two-step Baetis. There's one important step right as you begin, and that's leaving a ample amount of thread as you start the fly. So most of the time you want to keep it nice and close and a little bit. Here you're going to want to have enough to go all the way back to where your holder is on your vise. So that's usually about 3 inches or so. So that's what I'm going to do when I start this here. Just make sure you got a decent amount of thread. And start your wraps right behind the glass bead. And you want to work your way back on the shank about 1 bead head length. And then at that time, you want to take that thread and put it into your holder right there and just keep it back there for right now. Okay? Then you're going to want to grab your wire, which for this pattern on a size 18 I'm using small. Anything above an 18 I'd use an extra small. We're just going to do some black here. And we're going to tie that right back in right away. So set it up right against the bead on the nearest side to you and make a soft wrap around, and then a few tight wraps back up to the bead so it locks it in place. Now you've got that wire sitting back there too. It can also just sit right back for right now. I guess that's fine. And then you're just going to make a few wraps back right about to here. And then you're going to come forward again. This is creating a taper on the body. And you're going to want to come back to about right when it starts to bend. It's just a little bit of a judgment call here. But right when it starts to bend, maybe just a bead length of a bend right there. And then work your way back up with your thread all the way up to behind the hook. That's good there. Your thread, oops, mine came loose. Can stay in there for a minute. And your wire is just going to come right around that, right where the thread starts. You make your first wrap. Then you make a few more concentric wraps up. Leave it about that amount of space. You'll just have to kind of gauge it for yourself, but that amount of space, like a quarter of a bead head length here. And then instead of making that last wrap all the way around and again, you want to wrap it off right there. This just makes the head it just doesn't make the head look as messy. You do one that goes around there like that, and that holds it in place. And then you can grab with your thread hand again. You can make 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe wraps. There we go, right there. It looks pretty good. Kind of pull a little bit tight on the thread, with a little tension on the thread, and that'll lock it all down. And then you just do the helicopter move, which is holding the top of the wire and then taking it down right where the wire is at here, and just make it look like a helicopter. Do that 4 or 5 times usually, and it just breaks free. Bloop. There you go. Nice little move. Saves you some scissors in the future. Then on the back here, take a look at that little fella right here. That you want to do about a half of hook shank length is about how much you want to cut. Cut about that long right there. Short little tail. Nothing much to him. And that's it. Literally why it's a two-step Baetis. You ask yourself why it's so difficult to tie all these flies. Get that vise back there. Doesn't have to be. Not on everything. There's certainly more difficult flies out there. 5 or 6 turns for the whip finish and you're good. But that's about the easiest fly that's going to catch you a lot of fish, especially on tailwaters and other places like that. I do really good with this during the winter in Colorado. So highly recommended. Works really well for me and I love it. So talk more about it later, but thank you for being a part of the video and the tying class.